hearty welcome to one and all present over here. So, the title of today's talk is Enjoy, Learn, and Contribute Leadership in Technology Stream. So, this talk is going to be based upon the book titled In Search of Technology Experience of an IITian, written by the speaker himself. So, the speaker, Mr. A. Sivakumar, graduated in mechanical engineering from IIT Madras in 1968. He had a professional career of 37 years in industrial units located in India and Africa. He worked in the technology stream for almost throughout his career, gaining experience in manufacturing engineering and product technology in different sectors of the industry. His major assignment was with the Murugappa Group, which is based in Chennai. He worked as an associate director of technology there, and he was instrumental in taking various innovative initiatives in technology across the units of the group. His technical papers on renewable energy such as small hydro, wind, and biomass power were presented in international conferences in Europe and in the USA. During his professional career, Mr. Sivakumar had been elected as a member of Institution of Manufacturing Engineering, UK, and the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, USA, and of the fellow institution. In 2006, he wrote a book titled In Search of Technology, bringing out his own perception of the role played by technology in the industrial world. The broad scenario of Indian industry in the last 3 decades of 20th century was viewed by a typical IITian has been captured in depth in his own style. This book has been widely appreciated by all industrialists and technologists. Finally, over the last decade, Mr. Sivakumar, with his startup unit, Sigeda Global, has been working on developing and promoting moringa leaf powder as the wholesome dietary nutrient supplement. I welcome Sir.
Good evening to you all. Thanks for the introduction. Leadership lecture series is one of my favorite websites. I have watched most of the videos of talks uploaded on the net and also forwarded links of many of them to my friends for their benefit. Today I'm happy to be here as a speaker, and I wish to thank Alumni Association for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. I belong to the 5th batch of IIT Madras. Our batch is unique in 2 ways. When we joined in 1963, IIT Madras became a full-fledged institute with classes functioning in all the 5 years of the BTech degree course. The other uniqueness relates to our graduation. We are the only batch of people, probably in the whole world, to have our degree certificate signed by son and father. Dr. A. Ramachandran joined as director of the institute in our final year. His father, A.L. Mudaliar, resigned as chairman board of governors in the next year. Every generation keeps on gathering knowledge through learning from available resources and then contributes its own for future ones to develop on them further. To learn well, one has to enjoy what one is doing. That's how I framed the first part of my title of the talk, Enjoy, Learn, and Contribute. My talk today is based on the book, which was referred in the introduction, real life incidents highlighting learnings, contributions, and setbacks and successes have been presented in detail. It was indeed well appreciated by both industrialists and technologists. This is my career path. In my 37 years of professional career, I had been mostly in technology stream, except for 4 years in line function when I was employed in Batli Boy Surat and entity of Katpadi. Leadership is not applicable only to the line function. It is essential in every field, including technology and research. I have taken 10 top qualities of leadership. I will be narrating various incidents in my career related to them. Though not in chronological order, I hope to convey them in a cohesive manner to give my thoughts. Let me take you back to the year 1966. It was another August evening. The venue was an open-air theater. The Institute Gymkhana had arranged a lecture by Mr. Mohan Kumar Mangalam, a famous advocate and a great orator. He made an electrifying speech for more than an hour. In his speech, he, in a booming voice, asked her students, "Who pays for your education?" In those days, our tuition fees were 200 rupees per year, and for the entire 5-year BTech degree course, it amounted to rupees 1,000. The fees were the lowest in the country. Proceeding further, Mr. Kumarangulan said, "It is the hard-working rickshaw puller on the road." Those days, rickshaws were pulled by men. Rickshaw puller on the road who pays for your education. After toiling hard under the hot sun, when he goes to buy a loaf of bread in the night, he pays 30% of the price as tax, which the government utilizes to subsidize your education. He then asked us, "How are you going to repay the poor man?" Study well, get a good job, but do not rest on a cozy job, just enjoying the luxuries of the life. Work hard with commitment and develop the nation so that finally the benefits reach the poor man and upgrade his life. Dr. Abdul Kalam often used to talk about the need to dream and work hard to achieve the same. This happened to be true during my academic career. In my student days, I was a keen follower of the game of tennis, particularly the Wimbledon tournament. One or more of the 3 famous Indian tennis players, Ramanathan Krishnan, Jaideep Mukherjee, and Premjit Lal, often used to last the first week in Wimbledon and reach the last 16. Taking a cue from that, I made a resolve that I should come within the top 16 of mechanical engineering bench, which had a strength of 70. It was a tough target, as everyone in the group could qualify to be under that category. After every test, tutorial, periodical, and terminal exam, I used to mentally calculate and estimate whether I would come with the top 16, if not, work hard to improve myself. At the end of 5 years, after innumerable tests and exams, at the time of graduation, we were given a booklet giving the names of graduates in each branch listed in unofficial ranking order. To my surprise and happiness, I found my name to be 16th. This confirmed my belief in fixing targets and working towards it. Arthur Haley is my favorite author. I chose one of his characters in his novel Airport as my earliest role model. He was an aircraft maintenance engineer, noted for his knowledge, abilities, and fearless approach. I was first tested for my integrity when I joined Batley Works in Surat. The company manufactured precision machine tool accessories under technical collaboration with a Swiss company. The company had, as per the records, good finished stock. However, sales department was not able to get the stock for sending it to the customers. Hence, the sales figures were quite low. On investigation, I found that the unit had followed a strange practice. On the last day of every month, when the production target could not be met, the unit declared the planned production as actual production under the assumption that it would clear the backlog within a couple of days of the next month. This, they did it because they wanted to claim the production incentive and called it as advanced production. Gradually, the backlog of 2 days escalated to 1 week, then 1 month, and when I joined the unit, it stood at 3 months with the entire so-called finished stock lying as work in progress in various stages of manufacture in the shop floor. My team members pressurized me to continue with the practice, promising that they would clear the backlog before the end of the year when actual physical inventory would take place. However, I explained everything to the top management and executed my plan with their consent. For the next 3 months, we were busy in clearing the entire backlog, but reported zero production in the records. No one was given any incentive. It was a most unpopular measure, but when my team members realized that I got my position removed from those receiving the monthly incentive, they realized my sincerity and gave full cooperation. Nut former is a multi-stage extrusion machine used for making hexagonal nut blanks from wire rod. The machine enjoyed a concessional rate of import duty. The machine can also be tooled up for similar components. Unaware of this, customs authorities demanded higher rate of duty when TA Diamond Chain imported the machine tooled up for the rollers for the chain. Their contention was that hexagonal nuts were not produced and only cylindrical rollers were produced, and this machine is different. Such ambiguities in those days in the notifications often led to malpractices and scams. Murugappa Group, however, known for its strict adherence to the law of the land, decided to proceed in straightforward manner. Technology came to our rescue. While we could not make hexagonal nuts on that machine because of lack of tooling, we did the alternate. We tapped the rollers, and with the technical literature, we said that it comes under the category of round nuts, and hence it's a nut blank. The customs authorities understood that, and then they gave the concessional rate of duty. Later on, we got the notification amended to avoid such ambiguities in future. I set my own personal standards of integrity by deciding not to join any competitor whenever I made a change of job. All I carried with me was my generic skill and knowledge, and not data or information specifically related to the previous company. Once in Lucas TVS, we graduate trainees were having a monthly review meeting with our departmental head, Mr. Ajit Bhattacharya. Mr. R. Ratnam, a member of TVS family and works director of the company, suddenly rushed in and said, "Ajit, we have a major problem in starter assembly line. Will you please come up with me?" Mr. Bhattacharya stood up and said, "Yes, I am aware of it, and it will be cleared by the afternoon. Right now, I am having a meeting with these people. I will come to your room after half an hour when the meeting is over." Mr. Ratnam looked at us for a second and then left the room quietly. The acts of both Mr. Ratnam and Mr. Bhattacharya, recognizing our importance, the importance given to the graduate trainees and our time, made a deep impression on us, and we felt fully motivated and committed to work for the company in future. In early 80s, the Japanese two-wheelers came into India, bringing along a strong quality upgradation of ancillaries too. TA Diamond Chain started supplying drive chains for the motor two-wheelers to the Japanese specifications with oriented bush assembly by keeping the seam of the bush away from the operating zone to reduce wear. This they did it by manually assembling the inner block, which is shown here, and keeping the bush in the proper position, and then once assembled, the inner blocks were fed into the main chain assembly machine. To improve the productivity, I initiated a scheme to directly orient the bush on the main assembly itself. My setup included a stepper motor, a fiber optic cable with light sensor and light source, to detect the seam and stop the stepper motor from further rotation when actual position is achieved. The commissioning trials were going on. One young engineer by name Lakshminarayan was put in charge of it. Suddenly one day he came to me and said he has an alternate idea. As per his idea, there is no electronics involved or electrical gadgets involved. The bush, while being fed to the workstation, will rub against a rubber pad and in the process get rotated, and a spring loaded plunger with a knife edge will lock at the seam in the correct position. His idea looked much better, simple, rugged, and then has a better chance of working in spite of the machine vibration. I immediately ordered my setup to be dismantled, and we gave all out support for to implement his idea. This act was welcomed by all my other team members who felt really motivated to develop their own ideas in their field. Later on in my career, I saw a greater demonstration of this similar act by Mr. M. M. Murugappan, the then director of Parry Confectioneries Limited, when he withdrew a commitment to a supplier to buy a stick pack assembly machine for coffee bite products. Based on my last minute review and recommendation of an alternate machine of lower price and better features. Motivation is not confined to only subordinates alone. TA Diamond Chain was well supported by more than a dozen entrepreneurs in Ambattur Industrial Estate, working hard day and night developing special purpose machines. Without them, the expansion plan of TA Diamond Chain would not have come up. Mr. Somasundaram was an entrepreneur who had a unit in Ambattur supplying air handling solutions to the industry. One day he came to my office in corporate headquarters. I had seen him earlier 5 years back when I was in the factory. He said he had just recovered from a major illness and wanted to do developmental work in the rest of his life. Remembering the encouragement we had given earlier to him, he wanted to explore any opportunity with me. We then discussed about the need for drying bagasse in a cogeneration power plant to improve the fuel efficiency. He got excited, and the next day itself he sent papers on straw drying, which he had done 20 years back. However, within a week he fell ill again and soon passed away. His act of admission of getting motivated by us and coming to meet me in spite of his ill health, I felt were greater rewards than a promotion or a hefty increment. Innovation requires a strong knowledge of fundamentals. In the pre-internet era, we had to rely on textbooks to revisit the fundamentals. As part of the upgradation modernization plan, TA Diamond Chain went in for a continuous rotary retort furnace for the heat treatment of chain link plates. The plant was manufactured by Westerwerk engineers under technical collaboration with Degussa, Germany. The heart of the machine plant is a magnetic conveyor which transported link plates from one stage to another. The principle is simple. Permanent magnets are fixed at every pitch of the chain, driven by a motor at the top, and when the chain and the magnets move, they attract the ferrous link plates, which move on a stainless steel sheet, fixed sheet, in grooves, and finally when the chain returns back, the components fall into the next stage due to gravity. On commissioning, we found, to our shock, none of the components moved up. All the components got together. Till then, in India, magnetic conveyors are used only mainly for transporting metal scrap from turning machines. The supplier increases the strength of the magnets, still there was no improvement. To understand the principle more about magnetism, I visited every major library in Madras. I could not find a single book on magnetism. All I could see was a small chapter on magnetism in books on physics. Finally, my pre-university book gave me a mention about spot magnets. With that information, we went to the magnet manufacturer in Madras. There was an Agrala Magnets. It's not there now. This is another thing where we lose all our technical abilities. He has lost it out because of the way the industry was going in the last so many years. So, with him we discussed and then arrived at shielded magnets by placing two mild steel plates on the sides of the permanent magnet, thereby restricting its influence on sideways, practically shorting the sides. And then the components started getting separated and clung to each magnet like what is shown in the photograph, and the plant started working. Thus, a 4 million rupee project, which was central to the expansion of tier diamond chain, was saved by visiting the fundamentals. In another case incident, hot chrome plating of chain pins was required to be done to get the order for timing chains used on tempo traveler vehicles manufactured by Bajaj Tempo. In a hot chrome plating itself is the most difficult of all plating processes. It is normally done for big components like shafts and spindles, which are hung separately in the bath. One cannot imagine thousands and thousands of components like chain pins, which measure 3 millimeter, approximately 3 millimeter diameter and a length of 25 millimeter, being hung separately in the bath. I made again another literary search. This time, in a book in IIT library, I found a sentence saying, for hot chrome plating of small components, magnetic fixtures are used. That information was enough for our technical team to work with the entrepreneur in Ambattur Estate to develop a magnetic fixture fully protected from the corrosive bath, and we established the process in a short time. In terms of value, from zero level, Bajaj Tempo became the biggest OE customer for tier diamond chain. I got into the problem in Hindustan brown berry because of my overconfidence and not looking at the basics. This is an example of that experience. Gate pins are to be welded to the metal frame, which is used for pushing the electromechanical relay in brown berry, it's a brown berry product. Now, this welding is to be done in a spot welding machine. Being confident about the machine, I proceeded with the standard information available to me. Normally, in a spot welding machine, two components are held between two electrodes, and applying pressure and passing current, they get welded in between due to heat. We did that on the back side of the shoulder of the pin with the sheet metal frame. The welding appeared to be all right, but in the next operation of chemical blackening, in the first pickling bath itself, all the rollers came out. Then only I went and studied the collaborators' document again, and it says Heiss Nieten, which means hot riveting. I cannot think of hot riveting on a spot welding machine. In spite of my strong grounding in workshop practices in IIT and 10 years of experience then in various units, it was impossible to think of how it could be done. This time, a book of 1920s on workshop practices came to my rescue. It described the process. Instead of two components being held between two electrodes, the same rivet, here it is the guide pin, which is held between two electrodes. On applying pressure, the rivet gets hot, and then, like a cold riveting, it forms over the second component, which has no connection with the electrode. Often, cause and effect diagrams are used in training classes to solve problems in industry. But in real practice, we just script through and then arrive at the solution based on our experience. This often results in not getting to the solution immediately and delays the process. During my graduate training days, I was a very quiet person. My friends used to make fun of me. I wanted to rectify that at the right opportunity. When Mr. Ajit Bhattacharya resigned, a farewell function was arranged for him. During the function, speaker after speaker praised him in a superficial manner, giving the entire proceedings a boring touch, and everyone wanted the proceedings to end fast. At last, when a call was made for any volunteer to come and speak, I went to the stage to the surprise of my friends. I started saying, Mr. Bhattacharya, I am a very quiet person by nature. Mr. Bhattacharya has impressed me so much during this period that I am compelled to come and talk about him in my maiden speech. Immediately, the audience seemed to come alive with a great ovation. Then, recalling every incident of what he has interacted with me and with other trainees, I went along these lines. Mr. Bhattacharya has taught a lot in our training period. The education field has missed a great teacher. His projects were all completed on time and were of high quality. The Indian Administrative Service has missed a great administrator. Like that, I went on talking about different fields, quoting real incidents. Every third sentence of my speech was greeted with loud clapping. At the end of the speech, short speech, when I came down, I was mobbed by many of them congratulating me on my speech, forgetting the real hero of the evening. This incident showed me that to be a good communicator, one need not be a great orator. One has to be simple, factual, realistic, and touch the heart of the listener. During one of my visits to XLRI to attend a training program, I saw Murphy's laws being displayed on the wall of the central hall. Murphy's laws convey what, in a subtle manner, what we ought not to do, but which we continue to do. Inspired by them, on my return to T.A. Diamond Chain, I started writing my own Murphy's laws based on my observations and put them on display on my table. It became a great hit, and many people visited my office just to see the latest set of Murphy's laws. Here I am giving two of such laws. The first one is what we in India, how we in India treat our customers. We do not believe customer is king, he is God to us. For God always accepts our offerings, whatever we give and whenever we give. This was the situation in those periods, but right till even now, the politicians are practicing this. Many of them treat the voter as God during the election, and when they come to power, they give very little service. The second law relates to the product testing, particularly related to automobile. Design a tough product testing specification, and you end up with the products which work well only in the test rigs and not in the field. This law I wrote 25 years back. Like the predictions of Nostradamus, this law was proved last year by the automobile giants of the world. In 1990s, emission standards became stricter and stricter. automakers wanted to meet the specification, but at the same time did not want to lose on fuel economy. Volkswagen did a smart thing according to them by introducing a software which gave favorable results during testing, but which could not be reproduced on the road. Japanese automaker Mitsubishi had inflated tires to get a better fuel economy. Nissan and I forgot the name, other companies, Suzuki are also involved in manipulating fuel economy figures. All these automobile giants are now facing damages in billions of dollars just because they followed this Murphy's law. I had been on both the sides of customer supplier interface by being in supporting by promoting the product technology to the customer. I was on the supplier side, and when buying machines for the projects, I was on the customer side. On both sides, I have seen customer focus getting lost often. Here I will give you two examples where initially it was customer focus was lost and then situation was retrieved later. Kelvinator, the manufacturer of mopeds in Faridabad, wanted to reduce the warranty returns of their drive chains and had asked Tier Diamond Chain to supply a superior chain. Tier Diamond Chain came up with a chain with moly disulfide grease, which gave a good result in the test, and they gave it at a higher price. After a few weeks, Kelvinator reported, instead of improvement in situation, deterioration with increased warranty returns. When our technical person went to the site, he found the lack of customer focus by us in the initial stage. The moped had only half chain guard. That means the other half of the chain was exposed to the atmosphere. Most of the returns came from Rajasthan area, where it was windy and it carried a lot of abrasive sand particles. The grease served like a magnet to those abrasive particles and a storehouse for that. So, the wear rate was much more than oil chain. Realizing this, Tier Diamond Chain reverted back to the oil chain at a lower price. Parry Confectionery Limited wanted to buy a form fill seal machine to meet its increased production demand. Rovema USA was offering a machine at a higher speed, higher output rate, but at a higher price. Hessen, Germany offered a machine at a lower price with a lower output rate. Taking into view of the future needs, Parry Confectioneries decided to go in for Rovema machine. At the last minute, a close review revealed both these production figures are related to free flowing material, and they are not applicable to twist wrap candy. The time taken for the twist wrap candy to fall into the pouch is a critical part of the main cycle and decided the production rate. There was hardly any difference between the two machines. Realizing this, they finally went in for Hessen machine at a lower price. Emotional maturity is essential for a leader. Lack of it not only damages him, but the entire organization. Carbondum Universal established a run-of-the-river small hydro power plant across river Pamba in Maniyar in Kerala. It was the first of its kind in Kerala and was a great success. However, when I went to the unit, the operating personnel informed me that the plant could not reach the peak power of 12 megawatt at 100 cubics of water flow. All it could reach was 8 megawatt at around 75 cubics of water flow. Further discussion with them revealed certain limitations on the intake side, hydraulics of intake side. I made a report and went to our chairman, Mr. M. V. Murugappan, who agreed with the findings, but wanted the upgradation to be taken up and with the full guidance of the original consultant of our project, Mr. M. S. Iyer. I then forwarded the note to him. He sent a one-page reply saying, "Learn fundamentals of hydraulics before talking to me." Though initially angered by him, I calmed down in the interest of the project. I did read fundamentals as suggested by him and found that he was partially right. While my findings were okay, I used the wrong terminology because of my lack of up-to-date knowledge on the technical terms of the hydraulics. I then reworded the entire report and wrote the report, went to him, explained to him everything. He agreed with my findings and explained how the limitations had come about in the beginning. Later on, when Roorkee University made a physical modeling and the upgradation work was taken up with his full involvement, the peak capacity, peak generation went up from 8 megawatt to 10.5 megawatt, and the power generation and the energy generation went up by 10%. Often in industry, the financial people, including internal auditors, question technologists whenever a proposal has been taken up for capital investment or a review of the capital investment made earlier. They simply say, "We do not understand and we are going to give a report as we like." One should not lose patience and explain to them till they understand. Otherwise, the reports which are not representing the real truth reach the top management and the board, and at that time it is difficult to explain to them. So, one has to be patient with those people and bring them to our side by fully convincing them. I had a strange experience of convincing both the supplier and the customer in tier diamond chain. The company wanted to buy a centerless grinding machine to meet its increased production demand. They had a smaller machine of 300 dia wheel. HMT Ajmer was making machine of 500 dia wheel. But we proposed to buy the bigger machine where we could get a higher productivity, but HMT was not willing to give a through feed rate more than 5 feet per minute. It's because they were not conversant with the grinding of small pins. Production people in tier diamond chain were not willing to buy the machine because the supplier is not giving a guarantee. After a lot of discussion with both of them, we took the responsibility of proving that higher production rate, and HMT agreed to deliver the machine at their works after we complete the trials. So, we did establish the machine at 30 feet per minute, and later on tier diamond chain started buying only the bigger machine. I had made number of change of my job, and every time I made a change of job, I had to establish myself with new people, learn everything about the product and process. I could not rely on my past achievements elsewhere. This made the job demanding and challenging, but it also made it interesting and enjoyable. So, risk taking is preferred to be taken up by everybody. When a mouse gets trapped, it tries its best to come out, looking for every escape opportunity. A leader should be like that, by looking for every window of opportunity whenever an obstacle is faced. This was a classic example of a project which Carbon Universal completed. by establishing a 5 megawatt natural gas based power plant in the Kaveri Basin area. Right from the conception of the project till its commissioning, there were distinct 7 points where we faced major hurdles. But everyone from the top, right from the board member, chairman, vice chairman, senior executives, and operating executive, displayed this quality of leadership, that is a constant search for openings. And the product had come to its present level because of their efforts. Today, this project is a great success, and it is the first of its kind in South India, giving very high efficiency and good performance. There I come to the end of my talk. Questions are welcome. If you have questions later, you can write to my email address. I'm sure that you will get a response within a couple of days. Thank you.
We'll close the questions for now. Thank you, sir. It was indeed a very motivational speech. May I now call upon Professor Nagarajan, the Dean of International Alumni Relations, to present a memento to our speaker. Thank you, sir, for spending your valuable time with us. I now thank the audience for being a very patient listeners and encouraging the session. Thank you.